Today we're going to be talking about how to have confidence in your writing. Because we all have those days when we read what we wrote and we were like, wow, this is flaming hot garbage. I should never write words again. In fact, I should stop speaking because the written word and the spoken word don't deserve to be brutalized like this. Well, I'm here to tell you ways that you can be more confident. And even on those bad days, realize that, not all your writing is hot garbage, only some of it. All right. Number one is that you should write a little every day. If you write a little bit every day, you know that you're practicing your craft, and practice makes better. And that way, you can also pat yourself on the back for practicing that day, because it's really hard to get the nerve to practice a little bit every day, no matter what it is, whether you're playing an instrument or writing. All right. Number two is that you should read with a writer's eye. So reading as a reader and reading as a writer are two very different animals. When you read as a reader, you're reading for enjoyment, you're reading for the entertainment. When you read as a writer, you are reading to learn from the way that person writes. So when you're reading as a writer, you should, number one, look for things you like about the way that person writes. Pinpoint the way they style their sentences, the way their book flows, maybe plot points that they hit that you didn't think about, like things like that. Number two, look for things you dislike. The way their sentences work, maybe a word they use that seems out of place. It can be small things, but you notice when they're there. That leads into number three. When you notice things that you like or dislike a lot about the way that person writes or something in the book, pinpoint why and write it down so that you have it, because I know when I'm reading as a writer, I forget to take notes a lot. That's on me. I can be better about this too. Anyway, take notes about it so that you remember it for later, and maybe when you're writing and you need a little bit of inspiration about how to phrase something, or you remember, oh, this person did this thing really well, you can reference those notes and go back to them. Number four is notice things they do differently than you and ask yourself why, because usually there's a reason for different stylistic choice in writing, and if you like something about it or you don't like something about it, it could just be it's different from you, and breaking down why they decided to make those creative choices could make you question why you make certain creative choices. It helps you be more aware. In reading like a writer, you're learning while you read, so you're not actively writing and putting yourself down, but it's more taking the time to learn your craft a little bit more, and that makes you more confident in what you're writing because you know the reasons behind the creative decisions you're making. And number three really ties into number two, in that number three is read books about writing. Two of my favorites anyway are Save the Cat Writes a Novel. It helps with outlining and it tells you each beat that usually stories hit in like the traditional thing, and it helps you kind of craft your outline to flow the way stories usually do. So it helps you become more aware of the way stories work. And then the one that I really love is called Making Shapely Fiction by Jerome Stern, I think. Basically, it creates vocabulary to go with things that writers do naturally or might not think about doing. So if you're choppy with dialogue, he goes through different ways that dialogue works. If you don't know how to write a flashback, then he has a whole part about different flashbacks and ways to integrate them. It's actually really super interesting to have words to fit with things that you already do or don't do or have seen, and it helps you become more aware of the things that you are doing. In, again, honing your craft, it makes you more confident to go forward because you know you're making progress. You're like, well, maybe that story was garbage, but when I go back the next time, I know I can use this technique that they talked about in Save the Cat, or I can outline it so that it hits this beat, or I can, that one scene where these two characters are talking didn't hit because I didn't do this from Making Shapely Fiction. And of course, you don't have to use anything from the books. It's just always good to have more information because it gives you the confidence to know that, yeah, I did that. I read a book about writing and I became a better writer for it. So there you go. Okay, number 4 is find a cheerleader. When you're looking for a cheerleader, it can be basically anyone as long as they're positive about your writing. That doesn't mean that they have to be entirely positive all the time. They should give you feedback. Like, oh, I really loved this chapter. It was amazing. I'm so glad you wrote it. However, this one line really got me. Like, it didn't work. Fix it. Or like, I think it would be better if maybe you switch those last two chapters. It would work better, flow better. They should give you advice, but it should be in a very caring and uplifting way. A cheerleader can be a friend who's a reader, which could be helpful. The cheerleader can be a critique partner. A cheerleader can be a group of people, maybe a group that you find. I lost my camera for a second. Maybe this person is in a group of people. Maybe you met them online on the NaNoWriMo website. During Camp NaNoWriMo, they have cabins that happen. I personally am in one. Yeah. But mostly my cheerleader is my friend Jordan, who is my critique partner. And he is the person I text when I finish an act. And I'm like, ooh, finished act 2. Here we go. So excited. And he's like, yes, we are excited about that. Did you make this change? And I have to remember that I did not. So it's like very much a give and take relationship, but they should help you and lift you up rather than putting you down. You should have those people in your life, and they will help you feel more confident in your writing, because when you feel like your writing is garbage and you share it with a critique partner or just a readerly buddy or a fellow writer, you're able to be like, oh, that line of dialogue was really funny, I laughed. They help you see the positives, the little bright spots in it, so that you know what's working and what's not. And number 5, did I say 5 last time? I don't know, but this one's number 5, for real. Number 5 is ask for feedback. So feedback, again, it kind of goes in hand with the cheerleader part. It shouldn't be entirely negative. There should be positives. You are not a garbage writer despite what your conscience is telling you. There should be positives, otherwise the person you're asking is just a dick. So if you find a person who gives you accurate and concise and, palatable feedback, they should give you positives and negatives, but they should also be helping you as a writer. So it gives you the confidence in having feedback to notice and take a step back from your work and see, okay, I did this well, I didn't do this well. And it helps you get out of that mentality of everything I write is hot garbage and I should just burn this manuscript in a dumpster fire because that's where it belongs. Trust me, I've been there. But when I'm in that headspace, I send a chapter to Jordan, or I send a chapter to my friend Dakota, who I send little story snippets, and she'll be like, oh, I liked that. That was neat. Or, I don't know, that seems a little, not your best work. This can also manifest in beta readers. So if you have a finished manuscript or something you've been agonizing over for years, then you can send it off to beta readers when you hit that brick wall where you just want to burn it to the ground. You can send it off to beta readers and they can tell you specifically from a reader's perspective what needs to be changed and what should probably stay. My next tip for finding confidence in your writing is to talk to other writers. You can talk to me. I'm here. I'm on Instagram. I'm on here. You can comment. We'll have a conversation. But in talking to other writers about the writing process, you find that we all feel this way. Every writer has experienced this in some shape or form. This feeling that you just don't want to look at this manuscript anymore. In finding writerly friends and talking to them about how hard writing is, or your frustrations with it, or just the writing process in general, then you find that camaraderie, and you give each other confidence by all feeling awful. I don't know really how to explain it, but if you want to experience it, you can comment down in the description and we'll talk about writing. I could definitely use one of these writer partners right now. All right, and then my number 7, there are 10 of these. I don't know if I ever said that. I'm really suck at this. I will get better. I'm in distress, as the name suggests. So number 7 is to shut up your inner critic for now. We want them around, the little voice in our head that critiques us. We want that around when we are editing, but we don't want it around when we're writing, because that is the part that makes us delete whole chapters, even though we don't need to. Because we feel down about that chapter. So in order to shut up your inner critic, You might be like, how do I do that? Because it's just always there criticizing me. It's awful. I hate it. As somebody with anxiety, I understand, definitely. My inner critic's always there. But with particularly obtaining to writing, a few ways to shut up your inner critic that may or may not work for you are the following. So one, you could white out all of the past words that you've written and just start from scratch, but it's just that you can't see, so that you can't go back and delete it. You can't be sad about it. You can't hate those words because they aren't there. And you can't overthink them. So turn them to white. They're not there. Ignore them. Keep writing. Another way that I've seen somebody do this, I think it was Rachel Hawkins on YouTube. She makes it so that she can turn her screen around so she can't even see what she's typing, and she just types. I don't know how she does that, but if it works for you, it works for you. Common way people do this is listening to music. It's basically drowning out that inner critic, and it forces you to get in the zone and just write, you know? And if you look back at my writing routine video, I always listen to music when I write. It gets me in the mood, and I also have specific playlists that go with whatever kind of scene I'm writing, so that it cues my brain that this is writing time. We are allowed to be creative. Go for it. It's words time. We're making them. It's great. Okay, so number 8 is all about setting goals. I am a Capricorn. I am ambitiously driven. I am a goal achieving person. I love to achieve something in a day, you know? If you can cross it off a to-do list, chef's kiss, okay? I cannot explain to you how much I love setting goals. So, but this comes into the whole confidence thing, where is if you have a word count goal or a scene you want to edit or write, or you want to finish this act today, or even the amount of time that you want to write in a day. Like, I'm going to write for 30 minutes minimum today. That's it. Only 30 minutes. Set a goal, and when you reach it, because you will, because you're going to set smart goals for yourself, as in, I'm going to write 2 pages today, or I'm going to write, I don't know, 167 words. Why did I pick that? I think I meant to say 1,667 words, like NaNoWriMo. Who knows? I'm gonna hit that many words, or I'm gonna write for this amount of time, or I'm gonna write these pages, or finish this scene, and you're going to make it something palatable and easy to do, so that when you're in a rut and you don't want to write and you're not confident in your writing, it helps you realize that, like, okay, well, maybe it's not the best thing I've ever written, my NaNoWriMo manuscript, but I wrote it, and I get to cross that off of my to-do list. So it makes you feel fulfilled, even if it's not, you know, Shakespearean. I don't know, like you're not Brandon Sanderson yet, but it's on paper, so there, you know? Setting goals and achieving them makes you feel confident that you did something that day. Like, yes, I did that. Yay me, I did that. You know, and a lot of the time when you set small goals for yourself, I find that I overachieve because I get into the zone in writing and I shut up my inner critic. Number 9. So this one is one of my favorites because I find that I am most self-critical and most just self-bashing during my first draft. Can I hear an agreement from the crowd? Thank you. The first draft doesn't have to be perfect. In fact, in existing, the first draft is perfect. Now hear me out. Number 9 is that your first draft is perfect because it exists. So before you wrote that first draft, it didn't exist, and that was the problem. You fixed that. You did a good job because now the story exists, and you can take it to the place you want it to be because it's, you know, it's bound to be flawed. So flawed. But it exists, so it's 100 times better than your last draft, which didn't exist. So you just have to remind yourself as you're writing your first draft and you're being so self-critical because it's not great. It's never gonna be everything you wanted it to be, but it exists. So it does the job and it's perfect for what it is. It's a perfect first draft. Number 10. So number 10 is probably my favorite. Did I say that about number 9? I don't remember. But number 10 is probably my favorite one to actually implement, because number 10 is make a list of positive feedback and achievements. So this can be like a file on your computer, this can be a folder on your phone, this can be whatever you want it to, a Pinterest board, whatever you want it to be. But basically, it's a place where you accumulate all of your positive things. So if you share a document with a friend, say I share mine with my friend Dakota, then, and she's like, oh, I really liked this scene, that was so fun to read, and blah, 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 then what I do is I take a screenshot and I save it to my folder. I learned this trick from Jenna Moresi here on YouTube. She's another writer. When you feel down, when you feel like you've never done a good thing in your life, when you feel like I literally want to burn everything I've ever written in a dumpster fire, that's when you go to this folder or this, whatever it is, it's Pinterest board, and you scroll through it. She says that she does like folder sections where she's like, okay, for writing, for like just me, for I don't know, whatever, whatever you need confidence about. When you get a positive feedback or a positive remark about it, put it somewhere, save it so that you can go back and look at it and realize, you know what, not everything I've written is a dumpster fire. I am being irrational, and I just need to take a step back and realize, yeah, I have written good things because people have told me they're good. And I promise you, people have told you. It's just you don't have those snippets anymore. So in like challenging yourself to save all of this positive feedback and write down your achievements and the little things that you achieve and save them somewhere, you're training yourself to look for the positives, but also you're giving yourself a way to look back on them, which gives you more confidence, because when you know for a fact that other people do not see everything you've written as a dumpster fire, you feel better about everything you've written. I don't know, just me? It could be, who knows? I'm talking to no one right now. So yeah, so that's number 10. All right, so that was my 10 tips to have more confidence in your writing. If you guys want another one of these, I'm sure I could come up with more, but this one was requested by my friend Christine over on Instagram. I love her. We used to be in writing club together, and I miss her so much because she moved away from me. Rude. Yeah, but I always loved the way she wrote. She is so creative and wonderful, and I now have reached my goal. I know, I'm like a celebrity of 10 whole subscribers. So thank you to those of you who did hit that subscribe button. I appreciate it. Thank you for telling me you wanted to see my face again. So I appreciate that. If you are not subscribed, please think about hitting all of the buttons down below, the subscribe, the bell. So that has been my video on 10 ways you can be more confident in your writing. I hope to see you all next time. And remember, leave any questions, comments, concerns, debates, fears, anxieties, bad stuff, issues, complaints, or irritations down in the description box. I was told recently that my calendar is distracting as an irritation, and I'm sorry, it's not moving. I have 8 holes in the wall. My calendar has been there forever. My bad. I don't have a better place to film either. So it's there. I will see you all next week.